The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with excited chatter. Alien diplomats from 1,000 worlds filled the room. They looked like a colorful mix of shapes and sizes. Some had tentacles, others had multiple eyes, and a few even floated in the air. In the center of this alien crowd stood a human woman. Admiral Sarah Chen of Earth looked small next to the tall, blue-skinned Centauri ambassador. But her eyes showed a fierce determination. She wore a crisp white uniform with shiny medals. Her black hair was tied back in a neat bun. The room fell silent as the council leader, a wise old Trilaxian with long whiskers, raised his hand. "The council recognizes Earth's representative, Admiral Chen," he said in a deep voice. Sarah took a deep breath and stepped forward. Her boots clicked on the shiny floor. She looked around the room, meeting the curious gazes of the alien diplomats. Then she spoke in a clear, strong voice that echoed through the hall. "Respected members of the Galactic Council, I come before you today with an important message from Earth," she began. The aliens leaned forward, their antennae twitching with interest. "As of this moment, Earth declares the entire Sol system off-limits to all alien species and the Galactic Empire," Sarah announced. Her words hit the room like a shock wave. Gasps and murmurs filled the air. The Centauri ambassador's blue skin turned a pale shade of gray. The Vulcan delegate's tentacles wrapped around itself in surprise. "This is outrageous," shouted a short, furry creature from the back. "The Empire has rights to all systems." Sarah held up her hand, silencing the growing noise. "Earth has made its decision. We will no longer allow unrestricted access to our system. All ships entering Sol space without permission will be treated as hostile." The council leader's whiskers twitched in confusion. "Admiral Chen, surely you understand the consequences of such an action. The Empire does not take kindly to rebellion." Sarah nodded, her face serious. "We understand the risks, Council Leader. Earth is prepared to defend its sovereignty." A tall, insect-like creature clicked its mandibles. "What of the trade agreements? The cultural exchanges? Surely Earth does not mean to cut itself off entirely." "We are not cutting ourselves off," Sarah explained. "We simply demand the right to control who enters our space. Official diplomatic missions and approved trade will continue, but only with our express permission." The room erupted into chaos. Some diplomats shouted angrily, while others huddled in small groups, whispering urgently. The council leader banged his gavel, trying to restore order. In the midst of the uproar, a holographic image flickered to life in the center of the room. It showed the Sol system, with Earth highlighted in blue. As the diplomats watched, a shimmering barrier appeared around the entire system. "This is a real-time image of Sol space," Sarah explained. "The barrier you see is not just a graphic. It represents new defense technology that Earth has developed. Any unauthorized ship attempting to cross this line will face consequences." The room fell silent once more, but this time it was a tense, fearful silence. The aliens stared at the hologram, their eyes wide with disbelief and worry. "How is this possible?" someone whispered. "Earth was a backwater planet just a century ago." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "We humans have always been good at surprising others and ourselves." As the implications of Earth's declaration sank in, the council leader spoke again. "Admiral Chen, the Empire will not take this lightly. Are you sure Earth is prepared for what may come?" Sarah's eyes flashed with determination. "Council Leader, respected delegates, let me be clear. Earth does not make this decision lightly. We have carefully considered all possible outcomes. We are prepared to face whatever comes our way." She paused, looking around the room once more. "For too long, humanity has been treated as a junior partner in galactic affairs. No more. We claim our right to self-determination. The Sol system is our home, and we will defend it." With those final words, Sarah turned and walked out of the council chamber. Behind her, she left a room full of shocked aliens and a galaxy on the brink of change. As the door closed behind her, Sarah allowed herself a moment of doubt. Had Earth just started a war it couldn't win? But then she remembered the secret projects back home, the determination of her people. No, Earth wasn't defenseless. And it was time the galaxy learned that humans were not to be underestimated. The first move had been made. Now, the galaxy would have to react, and Earth would be ready. Emperor Zaxthor paced back and forth in his grand throne room. His long, silvery robes swished with each step. The Emperor's skin was a deep purple, and his 4 eyes glowed with an angry red light. He stopped and looked out the massive window at the glittering expanse of his galactic empire. "How dare they?" he hissed, his voice like sandpaper. "How dare those primitive humans challenge my authority?" The doors to the throne room opened with a soft hiss. 5 alien figures entered, each representing a different part of the empire. They bowed low before their emperor. Zaxthor turned to face them. "Well, what do you suggest we do about this Earth problem?" The first to speak was General Krogath, a bulky creature with thick, armored skin. "My emperor, we should crush them immediately, send the fleet, and turn their planet to ash." Next to him, Ambassador Lyra, a tall, elegant being with shimmering scales, shook her head. No, that's too rash. We should negotiate, find out what they really want." "Negotiate," scoffed Trade Minister Blixar, his tentacles waving in agitation. "They've already cost us millions in lost trade. I say we blockade their system, starve them out." The room fell silent as all eyes turned to High Inquisitor Vex. The hooded figure floated slightly above the ground, its face hidden in shadow. When it spoke, its voice was a whisper that somehow filled the entire room. "We must learn the source of their newfound power," Vex said. "Send spies. Infiltrate their world. Knowledge is the key to victory." Emperor Zaxthor nodded slowly, considering each suggestion. Then he turned to the last advisor, an ancient alien named Zorn. Unlike the others, Zorn looked almost human, except for his gray skin and large, wise eyes. "And what say you, old friend?" the Emperor asked. Zorn stepped forward, leaning on his staff. "My Emperor, we face a crucial moment in our history. Earth was indeed a backwater world not long ago. But now they challenge us openly. We must ask ourselves, how did this happen? What don't we know?" The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "Explain." "Think, my lord," Zorn continued. "A century ago, humans had barely left their own planet. Now they claim to have technology that can keep our entire fleet at bay. That's a leap no civilization has ever made so quickly." The other advisors murmured among themselves. Zorn had a point. "So what do you suggest?" Zaxthor asked. Zorn smiled, a twinkle in his eye. "We test them. Not with our full might, no. But we probe their defenses, gather information. We must know if their claims are real or just a bluff." The Emperor considered this for a long moment. The fate of his empire could hang on this decision. Finally, he nodded. "Very well," he said. "We will do as Zorn suggests. General Krogath, prepare a small but powerful fleet. Not enough to start a war, but enough to test these humans' resolve." The general saluted, a hungry look in his eyes. "Ambassador Lyra, you will send a message to Earth. Tell them we're disappointed in their decision, but open to talks. Let's see how they respond to honey before we use the sting." Lyra bowed gracefully. "Blixar, quietly encourage our traders to find alternative routes. We can't appear weak by letting Earth's actions disrupt our economy." The trade minister's tentacles wiggled in agreement. "Inquisitor Vex, you have my permission to send your best spies. Find out everything you can about Earth's new technology." The hooded figure bowed low. "And Zorn," the Emperor said, turning to his old advisor, "you will coordinate all of this. I want daily reports on the situation." As his advisors left to carry out their tasks, Emperor Zaxthor turned back to the window. Out there, among the countless stars of his empire, was one small blue planet that dared to defy him. "Oh, Earth," he muttered, his eyes glowing brighter. "You think you're so clever, but you have no idea what you've started. No one challenges the Empire and survives." But deep inside, a small part of the Emperor felt something he hadn't felt in centuries. Doubt. What if Earth really did have the power to stand against him? What would that mean for the future of his empire? As the stars twinkled silently, Emperor Zaxthor realized that the galaxy was about to change. And for the first time in a very long time, he wasn't sure if he would come out on top. Deep beneath the red sands of Mars, in a hidden facility known only to a select few, Dr. Rajesh Patel stood before a massive holographic display. The room was filled with the soft hum of powerful computers and the occasional beep of monitoring equipment. "Run the simulation again," Rajesh said, his voice tired but determined. He hadn't slept in days, but Project Prometheus was too important for rest. His assistant, a young scientist named Emily Chen, nodded and tapped a few commands into her tablet. The hologram flickered and then showed a miniature solar system. At its center, a tiny black dot appeared. "Initiating artificial micro-black hole," Emily announced. The black dot grew slightly, and the simulated planets began to orbit around it. Rajesh watched intently, his dark eyes reflecting the light of the hologram. "Now, introduce the enemy fleet." A swarm of red dots appeared at the edge of the simulated system, representing an invading armada. As they approached the center, the black hole suddenly pulsed. The red dots vanished instantly. Yes, Rajesh pumped his fist in the air. It worked. The gravitational lens focused the energy perfectly. Emily smiled, but her face quickly turned serious. "Dr. Patel, the simulation was successful, but we're still having issues with containment in the real tests. If we can't control the black hole..." Rajesh nodded grimly. I know. If we lose control, we could destroy the very system we're trying to protect." Just then, the door to the lab slid open. General Maria Santos strode in, her uniform crisp despite the late hour. "Report, Dr. Patel. The Empire's probes are getting bolder. We need Prometheus operational yesterday." Rajesh ran a hand through his messy hair. "We're close, General. The simulations are promising, but containment is still an issue. We need more time." General Santos frowned. "Time is the one thing we don't have, Doctor. Our spies report that the Empire is assembling a fleet. They're calling our bluff." The room fell silent as the weight of the situation sank in. Earth had declared the Sol system off-limits, but without Prometheus, they had no way to enforce that declaration against the might of the Galactic Empire. Emily spoke up, her voice small but determined. What if we don't need full containment? What if we treat the black hole like a bullet in a gun?" Rajesh and the general turned to her, puzzled. Emily continued, gaining confidence. "Instead of trying to maintain the black hole indefinitely, we create it for just a split second, long enough to destroy any invading fleet, but not long enough to risk losing control." Rajesh's eyes widened. "Emily, that's brilliant. We could use the moons of Jupiter as launcher sites. Create the black hole, focus its energy through gravitational lensing, and then let it evaporate." General Santos nodded slowly. "Could it work?" "In theory, yes," Rajesh said, already turning back to the hologram. "But we'd need to recalibrate everything. The timing would have to be perfect." "Do it," the general ordered. "You have 1 week. After that, we'll have to face the Empire with or without Prometheus." As General Santos left, Rajesh and Emily looked at each other. The challenge ahead was enormous, but for the first time in months, they felt a glimmer of hope. "All right, team." Rajesh called out to the other scientists in the lab. "New plan. We're going to turn the moons of Jupiter into the biggest shotgun the galaxy has ever seen." The lab burst into activity. Scientists rushed back and forth, adjusting equations, recalibrating instruments, and running new simulations. The air buzzed with excited chatter, and the clack of keyboards. As Rajesh watched his team work, he felt a mix of pride and fear. They were on the verge of creating the most powerful weapon in human history, a weapon that could save Earth from the Empire's tyranny. But if they failed, if they couldn't control the awesome power they were unleashing, they could doom the very world they were trying to save. He glanced at a small photo on his desk, showing his family back on Earth. His wife, his children, all smiling, unaware of the danger looming above them. Rajesh took a deep breath and turned back to his work. "Hang on, everyone," he whispered. "We're coming. Earth will not fall. Not on my watch." As the hours ticked by, the team worked tirelessly. On the surface of Mars, the sun rose and set, but deep underground, in the secret heart of Project Prometheus, humanity's best and brightest raced against time to create a weapon that could change the fate of galaxies. The Empire was coming, but Earth would be ready. And if Dr. Rajesh Patel and his team succeeded, the aliens were in for one hell of a surprise. Captain Lai Wei of the Earth Defense Force sat rigid in her command chair. Her eyes were fixed on the massive view screen that dominated the bridge of the EDF flagship Defender. The screen showed a sea of stars, peaceful and quiet. But Lai knew better. "Status report," she barked, her voice tense. Her second-in-command, Commander Jackson, responded immediately. "All quiet, Captain. No sign of—" "Wait." He paused, leaning closer to his console. "We've got something." Faint energy signature at the edge of the Kuiper belt. Lai's eyes narrowed. "Show me." The view screen zoomed in, focusing on a tiny blip of light. To the untrained eye, it might have looked like just another distant star, but Lai recognized it instantly. "Imperial stealth probe," she muttered. "They're testing our defenses." The bridge crew held their breath, waiting for orders. This was the moment they had trained for, the moment that could determine the fate of Earth and the entire Sol system. Lai's mind raced. If they attacked the probe, it would be seen as an act of aggression. The Empire would have the excuse it needed to launch a full-scale invasion. But if they let it pass, Earth's declaration of independence would look like an empty threat. "Options," Lai demanded. Commander Jackson spoke up. "We could try to capture it. Show the Empire we mean business without destroying their property." "Too risky," Lai shook her head. "One wrong move and we could start a war." "We could ignore it," suggested Lieutenant Chen from the tactical station. "Pretend we didn't see it." Lai considered this for a moment, then shook her head again. "No, we can't show weakness. Not now." Suddenly, an idea struck her. Lai allowed herself a small smile. "Commander Jackson, get me a direct line to that probe. I want to send them a message." Jackson looked surprised but quickly complied. "Channel open, Captain." Lai took a deep breath and began to speak. "Attention, Imperial probe. This is Captain Lai Wei of the Earth Defense Force. You are in violation of Sol space. You have 30 seconds to change course and leave our system, or we will be forced to take action." The bridge fell silent, all eyes on the view screen. The tiny blip of light that represented the probe didn't move. 20 seconds, Lai continued, her voice steady. Still no response. 10 seconds. The probe remained in place. 5, 4, 3, 2. Just as Lai was about to give the order to fire, the blip on the screen flickered and began to move. Slowly at first, then with increasing speed, it turned and headed back the way it had come. A cheer went up from the bridge crew, quickly silenced by Lai's raised hand. "It's not over yet," she warned. "This was just the first test. There will be more." As if on cue, alarms began to blare. Lieutenant Chen's voice rang out. "Captain, we're detecting multiple wormhole signatures at the edge of the system. It's a fleet." Lai's jaw tightened. This was it. The real test was about to begin. "Battle stations," she ordered, her voice calm despite the gravity of the situation. and get me a line to Earth Command. Tell them the Empire has arrived." As the crew rushed to their positions, Lai allowed herself one last moment of doubt. Were they ready for this? Could Earth really stand against the might of the Galactic Empire? But then she remembered the fierce determination in Admiral Chen's eyes when she had made Earth's declaration. She thought of Dr. Patel and his team, working tirelessly on Project Prometheus. And she looked around at her crew, humans from every corner of Earth, united in their resolve to protect their home. No, Lai decided, they weren't just ready. They were going to win. "Shields up," she commanded. "Weapons hot. Let's show the Empire what happens when they mess with Earth." As the first Imperial ships began to appear on the view screen, Captain Lai Wei and her crew stood ready. The fate of Earth, of humanity itself, hung in the balance. But they were not afraid. For in that moment, on the bridge of the Defender, they knew one thing with absolute certainty. The Empire had no idea what it was in for. The news of Earth's defiance spread through the galaxy like wildfire. On countless worlds, in bustling spaceports and hidden rebel bases, beings of all shapes and sizes whispered about the small blue planet that dared to stand up to the Empire. On the desert world of Zarthak, Creela the Sandwalker raised her 4 arms to quiet the crowd gathered in the underground cavern. Her exoskeleton glinted in the dim light as she spoke, her voice filled with hope. "Brothers and sisters," she chittered, "for too long we have suffered under the Empire's rule. But now, a new hope has emerged. Earth, a planet many of us had never even heard of, has shown us that resistance is possible." The crowd buzzed with excitement. An old Volcrin in the back called out, his tentacles waving, "But how can we fight? The Empire is too strong." Creela's compound eyes glittered. "Alone, yes. But together, we can follow Earth's example. We can stand up and say, 'No more.'" Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out. On the gas giant Nebulos, floating creatures called the Aether Dancers linked minds in a great psychic network, sharing visions of freedom. In the crystal caves of Lumina, the light-based photons pulsed with newfound determination, their normally placid society energized by the thought of independence. Even on Centaurid Prime, the capital world of the Empire itself, whispers of rebellion began to circulate. In the shadows of towering skyscrapers, workers grumbled about long hours and harsh conditions. In exclusive clubs, wealthy merchants quietly discussed the potential profits of a free market, unshackled from imperial control. But it was in the grimy underworld of Omega Station, a massive space habitat at the edge of imperial space, that the spark of rebellion truly caught fire. In a smoky bar called The Last Refuge, beings from 100 different species gathered to plot and plan. Zork, a burly Cronin with stone-like skin, slammed his fist on the table. "I say we strike now. Hit the Imperial shipyards while they're focused on Earth." Next to him, Lyra, a sleek Felinian with sharp claws and sharper wits, shook her head. "Patience, Zork. We need to coordinate. If we all strike at once, across the galaxy, the Empire won't be able to stop us all." At the head of the table sat Captain Ixel, a grizzled veteran of 100 space battles. His cybernetic eye whirred as he surveyed the group. "Lyra's right. We need a plan. And more importantly, we need a symbol. Something to unite all the different rebel groups." A hologram flickered to life in the center of the table, showing the blue-green orb of Earth. Ixel continued, "I propose we adopt Earth's flag as our own, a symbol of defiance against the Empire." The assembled rebels murmured in agreement. Earth's bold stand had given them something they'd lacked for centuries: hope. As the meeting in The Last Refuge broke up, the rebels dispersed, each carrying the seed of revolution back to their homeworlds. The uprising had begun. Back on Earth, Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the United Earth Council, delivering her report. "The Empire's initial probe has been repelled, but our actions have had unexpected consequences." She waved her hand, and a holographic map of the galaxy appeared, dotted with red points of light. These are confirmed reports of rebel activity, inspired by our stand against the Empire. It's spreading faster than we could have imagined. One of the counselors, an older man with a thick white beard, leaned forward. Is this not what we wanted? To break the Empire's hold? Sarah nodded slowly. Yes, but it also complicates things. The Empire will be desperate to crush this rebellion. They may throw everything they have at us to make an example. Another counselor, a young woman with bright eyes, spoke up. Then we must be ready, not just to defend ourselves, but to lead. These rebels look to us for inspiration. We cannot let them down. As the council debated their next move, Sarah's mind raced. Earth had wanted independence, but now it found itself at the center of a galactic revolution. The stakes had never been higher. Outside the council chambers, in cities around the world, humans went about their daily lives, unaware of the momentous events unfolding across the stars. But soon, very soon, every person on Earth would be called upon to play their part in the greatest struggle in human history. The galaxy was changing. The old order was crumbling. And at the heart of it all stood Earth, a beacon of hope for countless oppressed species and a thorn in the side of a once invincible empire. The galactic uprising had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. Emperor Zaxthor's throne room was deathly quiet. The once proud ruler of the Galactic Empire sat slumped in his ornate chair, his purple skin pale with stress. Before him, a holographic map of the galaxy flickered, showing countless red dots of rebellion spreading like a virus. Impossible, he muttered, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly. How could this happen so quickly? High Inquisitor Vex floated forward, its hooded form casting an eerie shadow. My Emperor, our spies report that Earth's defiance has inspired others. The rebellion grows stronger by the day. General Krogath, his armor dented from recent battles, growled in frustration. We must crush them now, before it's too late. Emperor Zaxthor rose slowly, his long robes rustling. He looked at each of his advisors in turn, his eyes glowing with a dangerous light. You are right, General. The time for subtlety is over. We will make an example of Earth, one that the galaxy will never forget. He turned to a communication panel and pressed a button. Prepare the Galactic Armada. Every ship, every soldier. We will attack Earth with everything we have. As his advisors rushed to carry out his orders, Zaxthor turned back to the holographic map. With a wave of his hand, he zoomed in on the small blue planet that had caused him so much trouble. Soon, Earth, he hissed. Soon you will learn the price of defiance. Across the vast expanse of space, on the bridge of the Earth Defense Force flagship Defender, Captain Lai Wei received the Emperor's message. Her face remained calm, but her hands clenched tightly behind her back. Play it, she ordered. A hologram of Emperor Zaxthor appeared on the bridge. His voice boomed, filled with barely contained rage. People of Earth, your rebellion ends now. You have one standard galactic day to surrender unconditionally. If you do not, the full might of the Imperial Armada will descend upon your world. Your cities will burn, your oceans will boil, and your species will be nothing but a cautionary tale in the annals of galactic history. As the message ended, the bridge erupted into chaos. Officers shouted questions and suggestions, fear evident in their voices. Lai raised a hand, silencing them all. Get me Earth Command, she said quietly, and get me Dr. Patil on Mars. It's time to see if Project Prometheus is ready. Hours later, in a secure bunker deep beneath the surface of Earth, the leaders of humanity gathered. Military commanders, scientists, and politicians all looked to Admiral Sarah Chen, waiting for her decision. Sarah stood before them, her white uniform crisp, her face resolute. The Empire has made its move, she said. Now we must make ours. Dr. Patel, is Prometheus operational? Dr. Rajesh Patel stepped forward, dark circles under his eyes from countless sleepless nights. It is, Admiral. But there are risks. We've never tested it on this scale. If something goes wrong. Sarah nodded grimly. I understand. But we're out of options, and out of time. She turned to the assembled leaders. I need your unanimous consent. Do we activate Prometheus and face the Empire head-on? One by one, the leaders voted. Some with confidence, others with trepidation, but all understanding the gravity of the moment. As the final vote was cast, Sarah took a deep breath. Very well. The decision is made. She pressed a button on the console before her. All Earth Defense Force units. This is Admiral Chen. Operation Prometheus is now in effect. May God have mercy on us all. As klaxons began to blare and the bunker burst into frenzied activity, Sarah allowed herself one moment of doubt. Had she just saved humanity or doomed it? In space, Captain Lai Wei watched as the moons of Jupiter began to glow with an otherworldly light. Project Prometheus was powering up, preparing to face the greatest threat humanity had ever known. And at the edge of the solar system, the first ships of the Imperial Armada began to appear. Thousands upon thousands of warships, stretching as far as the eye could see, all focused on one goal, the complete and utter destruction of Earth. The final battle for the fate of humanity was about to begin, and the entire galaxy held its breath, waiting to see if the upstart humans could truly challenge the might of the Galactic Empire. The vastness of space around Jupiter erupted in a dazzling display of light and energy. Project Prometheus, humanity's last hope, roared to life. The moons of the gas giant glowed with an otherworldly blue light, pulsing in perfect synchronization. On the bridge of the Defender, Captain Lai Wei watched in awe. My God, she whispered. They actually did it. Suddenly, alarms blared. Imperial fleet detected, shouted Lieutenant Chen. Thousands of ships, approaching fast. Lai's face hardened. This is it. All ships, battle formations. Activate Prometheus on my mark. In the Martian control room, Dr. Rajesh Patel's fingers flew over holographic controls. Charging complete, he reported, his voice tense. Ready on your command, Captain. The Imperial Armada filled the view screens, a seemingly endless sea of warships. At their center, a massive dreadnought dwarfed all others, Emperor Zaxthor's flagship. Insolent humans, the Emperor's voice boomed across all frequencies. Surrender now, and perhaps I'll allow some of your species to live as slaves. Lai's eyes narrowed. Go to hell, she muttered, then raised her voice. All ships, fire at will. Earth's fleet unleashed a barrage of energy weapons and missiles. The front lines of the Imperial fleet erupted in explosions, but for every ship destroyed, 10 more took its place. We can't hold them. Commander Jackson yelled as the Defender shook from a direct hit. Now, Dr. Patel. Lai ordered. Activate Prometheus. On Mars, Rajesh took a deep breath and pressed the final button. May the stars protect us, he whispered. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the space around Jupiter's moons seemed to bend. A pinprick of absolute darkness appeared, quickly growing into a swirling vortex of gravitational energy. By the Emperor's crown, gasped an Imperial officer. What is that? The answer came swiftly and terribly. The micro-black hole created by Prometheus pulsed, sending out a wave of gravimetric energy. Imperial ships caught in its path were instantly crushed, imploding into infinitesimal points of light. It's working, cheered Commander Jackson. But their jubilation was short-lived. The black hole pulsed again, and this time, some of Earth's ships were caught in the wave. We can't control it. Rajesh's panicked voice came over the comms. The gravitational field is expanding too fast. Lai made a split-second decision. All Earth ships fall back behind Mars' orbit. We'll use the planets as a shield. As Earth's fleet retreated, the Imperial Armada pressed forward, thinking they had the humans on the run. It was a fatal mistake. Another pulse from the black hole tore through space, annihilating the heart of the Imperial fleet. Emperor Zaxthor's dreadnought disappeared in a flash of light, taking the tyrant with it. But the destruction didn't stop. The black hole continued to grow, consuming everything in its path. "We have to shut it down," Lai shouted. On Mars, Rajesh and his team worked frantically. "We can't," he cried. "But wait, there might be a way. We can use Jupiter's gravity to slingshot the black hole out of the solar system." "Do it," ordered Admiral Chen from Earth Command. What followed was the most precise and daring maneuver in human history. Earth's remaining ships, guided by Rajesh's calculations, used their combined tractor beams to nudge the black hole. Slowly, agonizingly, it began to move. "It's working," Rajesh exclaimed. "Just a little more." With a final, mammoth effort, the black hole was sent hurtling towards Jupiter. The gas giant's immense gravity caught it and flung it out into deep space, far from Earth and the remnants of the Imperial fleet. As the danger passed, a stunned silence fell over the solar system. Then, gradually, cheers erupted. On Earth, on Mars, on ships throughout space, humans celebrated their improbable victory. In the aftermath, as the galaxy reeled from the Empire's defeat, Earth emerged as a symbol of hope and resistance. Alien races, inspired by humanity's stand, threw off the shackles of imperial rule. A new era of freedom and cooperation dawned. Captain Lai Wei stood on the observation deck of the Defender, gazing at the blue marble of Earth. Commander Jackson joined her, his uniform torn, but his eyes bright. "We did it, Captain," he said softly. "We actually did it." Lai nodded, a small smile on her face. "We did. But this is just the beginning, Commander. The galaxy's watching us now. It's time to show them what humanity can really do." As Earth's fleet returned home, a new chapter in galactic history began. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious. The stars, once forbidden, now beckoned with endless possibilities. The Earth had banned the Galactic Empire, and in doing so, had changed the course of the universe forever.